Welcome back, engineers. If you are just starting out in structural engineering, transitioning from designing simple isolated footing to massive raft or mat foundations, it can feel like hitting a brick wall. Suddenly, you aren't just dealing with a simple point load, you are dealing with soil structure interaction, finite element meshes, and complex spring stiffnesses. I recently received an email from one of my students who is analyzing a raft foundation for a major project. They ran into a wall with the software parameters and asked a series of brilliant questions. Over the next few episodes, we are going to deep dive on the master's class answering every single one of those questions. So today, in part 1, we are tackling the most foundational concept of them all, the subgrade modulus of and factor of safety. See, here is the exact question my student asked. When setting up my foundation analysis, the software calculates the subgrade modulus automatically. But various engineering references use a factor of safety, let's say 1, 2, or 3. So how does the software determine this factor? And what is the right way to stay consistent with my soil report? Now see, this is a classic trap for beginners. You look at the software input, see it asking for or calculating based on the factor of safety, and you assume that the software has a strict rule you need to follow. But let me clear things up right now. See, the software does not have an option on what factor of safety you should use. See, the equation built into most structural analysis software is simply there to allow you to use the manual approach explained in the legendary structural engineering textbooks. See, Foundation Analysis and Design by Joseph Balls, specifically the 5th edition, section 9.6. See, the software developers aren't dictating a method. They are just giving you a calculator tool based on Ball's formula, and as the engineer, you must refer to the textbooks to determine the appropriate values for the equations based on your specific site conditions. But here is my ultimate advice for beginners. See, if you are ever unsure about what factor of safety to input into the automated calculator, don't use it. Instead, bypass the calculator and specify the subgrade modulus directly into the software. You can find standard subgrade modulus values in widely available literature like table 9.1 of Ball's textbook. But realistically, you shouldn't be guessing from a textbook either. These exact values should be provided to you by your geotechnical engineer in the soil investigation report. Always defer to the geotechnical report. Find the K value, the subgrade modulus, and type it directly into your support generation parameters. So that was about this question. In the further part, we are going to look at a mind-blowing paradox my student discovered regarding the base pressure and soil stiffness. You wouldn't want to miss it. Subscribe and I'll see you in this next part. So let's discuss the second part. See, our mat foundation masterclass, in this previous part, we locked down our subgrade modulus. But once my student inputted their subgrade modulus, they noticed something that completely broke their brain. Listen to this observation from my student's email. See, he says that I run two identical models with exact same building geometry and the exact same loading. So in model 1, the soil had bearing capacity of 100 kilonewton per meter square and subgrade modulus K of 2000 kilonewton per meter square per meter. The resulting base pressure was 161.33 kilonewton per meter square. Now in model 2, the soil was much steeper with a bearing capacity of 200 kilonewton per meter square and a subgrade modulus of 4000 kilonewton per meter square per meter, but the resulting base pressure went up to 180.16 kilonewton per meter square. So my student asked, why does a higher subgrade modulus, meaning stiffer soil, result in higher base pressure under the exact same load? Shouldn't be the pressure spread out the same way? So if you have ever wondered this, congratulations, you are asking pro level questions. See, the answer comes down to the difference between the rigid method and the finite element method. See, when you model a raft in structural software, you are using finite element method. You aren't dropping a perfect rigid unbreakable block onto the soil. You are dropping a flexible concrete slab onto the thousands of tiny individual soil springs. See, as the subgrade modulus increases, let's say jumping from 2000 to 4000, the stiffness of those soil springs dramatically increases. And see, because the soil is now much stiffer, the concrete slab doesn't bend or deflect as much under a column load. And here is the key to the paradox. See, because the deflection of the slab reduces, the portion of the slab that participate in the resisting that specific column load also reduces. See, on the soft soil, the slab bends like a bow, spreading the column's load over a massive area of the soil. But on the stiff soil, the slab barely bends. See, therefore the load is resisted by a much smaller, highly localized area of the slab and the soil directly underneath it. Because the load is forced into a smaller localized zone, the soil pressure in that specific spot spikes up. And that's why model 2 with the stiffer soil showed a higher peak base pressure of 180 kN per meter square. See, stiffer soil means less load distribution, which means higher peak pressure. Understanding this soil structure interaction is what separates the novice from the master engineers. In the next part, we are going to dive into the software interface and tackle the most dangerous settings you can choose when generating your foundation supports. See you there. And remember, don't just learn software, learn concepts. I'll see you in the next part.